Hey, what's going on, guys? You got Crave here, and let's quickly go over the Incursions patch, or patch 1.1 for the Division. Now, the patch promised a whole lot of content, but as you know, words are words, and it's really the experience that will tell you whether content is worth it or not. Now, personally, you can get it from the title of this video, how I feel about it, but yeah, there are some good, some bad, and the Incursions patch is really just a bit of both, and it really depends on where you are at the moment, whether you are at the new game-breaking bug where your character gets deleted, or you're pretty lucky with the new item drops. So yeah, the full details of the patch are in the opening screen of the game, your launcher, or Ubisoft's website. So I'm going to be, I won't be going through every single detail of the patch, but I'm going to be looking at it from how I experienced it in game. So just take note that it's only been, basically just a few hours since the patch. Well, of course, a number of days have gone by, a couple of days have gone by, but it's really, I don't really have a whole lot of playtime, so I tried to capture as much of the new patches as I could. So anyway, the first thing I want to talk about is the on-screen details that you see in the Division. Now, yeah, you have to appreciate that amount of detail that you can see for whatever stuff you have to do. I mean, I also understand that that can be a negative for some, as they see it as clutter, but really to me it's a good thing because I can better track my progress in terms of assignments, whether it's the daily or the weekly one. Now, even the debatable usefulness of gear score is a very obvious number as you log in. It's right there on top of your character. And you can also see your party members' scores as well. So basically, you can, if you're the type to judge based on gear score, yeah, you can sort of say that this guy's pulling you down or this guy's going to be carrying you. Yeah, that's the negative side of gear score. Now, from what I can tell about gear score is that it's pretty much based on the gear you have equipped and not potentially what you could reach in terms of that number. So if you have some better level gear in your inventory, I don't think it's going to push up your number just like that. You have to equip the item. And yeah, it's really one of the reasons why I feel gear score is not a good measure, in that I play my main character most of the time. Of course, I just log into my alt, as I mentioned in the previous video, just to earn some Phoenix credits or just to fool around. But yeah, when I logged in the first time right after the patch, I found out that my alt had a higher gear score compared to my main, when in fact my alt is actually rocking a Caduceus or electronics build, but it's not really indicative of skill or damage output. To be honest, I'm really terrible when it comes to the electronics build plays. So strangely enough, as according to gear score, she had enough gear to push her overall gear score to around 168, which made her better than my main character, which had less than that number. So yeah, to another random player, that that my alt would fare better because of that gear score in terms of gunplay. And about on-screen details, yeah, the DZ ranking is bugged the first time you log in, so I'm not sure how it is on PlayStation or Xbox, but on PC, your DZ ranking will be bugged. It's just a bug, yeah. Once you get inside the zone, or you check your in-game, when you're really inside the game, your dark zone rank will show up the correct number. Related to the details are the assignments, which you can see in your mission overview. So it really covers a majority of the game. So there are requirements with crafting, killing mob types, and getting into the dark zone. Now these are, yeah, they are cut and dry daily grinds as with any other type of MMO. And yeah, it can turn people off, but for the moment I see them as decent in-game activity. It's not something we hope to continue in greater number in the future, but for now it's okay. And in terms of completion, just doing stuff in-game will reward you with the Phoenix credits and stuff from the weekly and daily assignments. So there's really no special effort required to get them done. The only exception I see is that if you want to avoid the dark zone altogether. So a part of the weekly assignment requires getting to that area and killing some mob types. So you really have to get into the zone to get your extra 30 Phoenix credits. And yeah, they're not really difficult, but given the gear gap in the dark zone area and once in a while hacking complaints, I kind of wish we had a choice on whether we want to engage in PvP or not. But yeah, it's not that big of a deal, as this is something that was announced by Ubisoft. At least the nature of the game was announced by Ubisoft before the Division went live. Yep, yellow is the new purple, and it's become a common thing to see yellow gear drop, especially at the end of missions or instance runs. And it won't really matter what your scavenging score is, at least for the last boss. Okay, at least for the last boss, not for when you're killing mobs. It won't matter what your scavenging score is. It could be that low, but you're pretty much assured of a yellow gear at the end of an instance run, and yeah, that's good if you like colors. If you're sort of tired of the purple you're so used to seeing instead of yellow. Yeah, about that. Just keep in mind though that gear score is there, and that the drops are basic high end or yellow gear, so it's not amazing yellow gear unless you're coming off blues and greens. Yeah, they are level 30 with the equivalent score of the lower 160, so it's still great that you get high end gear, but if you really look at things, you're still pretty much getting the purples prior to patch 1.1. Now, of course, I've been getting some decent high end gear, but don't expect a huge difference from what you were getting before. So some of the drops can be honestly underwhelming. And well, I've been lucky. I've seen a green gear, piece of gear dropped from the end of the Russian consulate on challenge mode. So yeah, if you were curious, yeah, it's one of those instances where you can get those item set gears or green gears to drop from. Well, let's just say it for what it is. It's tough right now. And if you had a lot of mats stored, particularly the high-end ones just before patch 1.1, then you're pretty okay for the moment. I mean, you can craft all you want, and that's good. The annoying thing right now is the cost to convert materials into their yellow counterparts, and you really have to have a lot of the blues and the greens if you want to upgrade them to yellow. I mean, sure, yellow gear drops are becoming common, as I mentioned earlier, but if RNG doesn't favor you, you're pretty much in a tight spot. And you still have to craft the gear and weapons you need to become, quote-unquote, a better agent and push up your gear score to a higher value so that you don't get kicked or left behind in squads. So, yeah, I mean, UB or Massive wanted players to get out and kill those mobs for the gear, but like I mentioned earlier, it can be underwhelming at times. I mean, okay, so most of the time it's pretty much underwhelming unless you get lucky once in a blue moon. And what this really means is that crafting becomes it's still pretty much a requirement to attain the specific gear stats you want. At least with crafting, you're pretty much going in the general direction of the gear type you need. It's just the stats roll that you have to worry about. So it's not like you're going for a challenge mode boss and you're not sure what type of gear he's going to drop. You may be looking for a chest piece, but he drops a knee pad, so it's there's no point. It's not as useful. So really with crafting, even though there's a bunch of the random stats you see there, at least what you're only worrying about is the stats that go with a specific type of gear. And also those vendors that sell those blueprints for the Phoenix based off from Phoenix credits. Just check out those costs. They're pretty high. The highest I've seen is around 900 Phoenix credits for a piece of weapon, I think. And that's a lot of Phoenix credits unless you roll and get lucky in challenge modes and in the higher areas of the Dark Zone. So better make sure you save up those credits. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is everything else about Incursions and the whole patch and how underwhelming it is and how it's been, I talked about assignments, item drops, crafting, and the on-screen information that you see in the game, and they're all pretty okay. The thing is, though, about them is that they're just okay. And the rest of the patch, for me, at least right now, is just, it feels extremely underwhelming, and they could have done so much better. I mean, first of all, Falcon Lost, I haven't finished it. Okay, I'm being honest there, but to me right now, the way I see it is that it's like just a simple gear check or stamina check or how much you could a check on for how long you can sit in your chair if you're not that geared. It's just it reminds me so much of horde mode games, and I don't like those kinds of concepts. It's just you're just in one room. The APC even doesn't even look amazing. It's just this one tiny thing. I initially thought it would be a tank, and that would have been amazing. And a tank that where we were sort of in a field moving around. I was picturing it to be like that, and I was wrong. And yeah, it's just one room, horde mode, sort of horde mode, and stamina or gear check. And when I talk about stamina, not your age and stamina, but your stamina, being able to sit down there and just trying to finish the instance. And I also heard some bugs, some new bugs coming around. I'm experiencing more and more of that infinite loop or infinite loading screen as I try to get into the game. It's not always, but it seems to be happening more now. And then I'm also reading on the forums that some people are not seeing their characters, their main characters in the game, in the character selection screen, and that's just a terrible experience that you have to go through. I mean, to have worked so hard and to not see your characters anymore. I hope Massive or Ubisoft sorts that one out. But yeah, basically everything else about patch 1.1 is underwhelming. It's just a good thing that we do have some of those four things I mentioned: crafting, item drops, assignments, and the added information on the screen to sort of make it seem okay. But everything else about patch 1.1 is just, yeah. I hope it gets better next month or in the next few as time goes by for the division. And I guess this is just really a good reason for me not to purchase the season pass as of the moment, unless they announce something really solid about it. But yeah, I just hope they do better next time. Right now, patch 1.1 is just okay, and it's not amazing. It's just okay. And yeah, so, but that's really just me, in my opinion. So if you do have other thoughts or comments about patch 1.1, leave them down in the comment section below. And yeah, so please like, share, and subscribe if you thought this was good. See you soon.